Merry Christmas, everyone, and while I unfortunately don't have any Christmas-related videos to do this year, I am giving you, as my Christmas present to you, my possibly overdue review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Ever since my first review, which came out last week, I've seen the movie 2 more times, so that's a total of 3 times. So I think I've seen the movie enough to pick up on all the little details and things that I may have missed in order to talk about the spoilers, and to get my thoughts straight. I already did a video covering this whole Rey Mary Sue controversy, and I actually do have more things to say about Rey, and it is in her defense rather than just saying, you should be a goddamn ashamed of yourself, so I'm not going to go the asshole route this time. I'm just going to voice my own opinion because I'm not here to please anyone. If you don't like what I have to say, hey, just don't be a dick about it, just like I shouldn't be a dick to you guys. Before that all, let's get into one of the bigger things in the movie, and one of the things that people have been asking. Where is Luke Skywalker? We know Mark Hamill is in this movie as Luke Skywalker, but he isn't shown that much in the ads, he isn't shown in the poster at all, so what's the deal with him? Well, that actually is the main plot of the film. I gave a very vague plot description in my spoiler-free review to avoid spoilers, but the main plot of the movie is that Luke Skywalker has actually disappeared sometime in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Apparently he was training a new generation of Jedi, but one of his disciples turned to the dark side, slaughtered everyone else, and that forced Luke to go into hiding. So the whole movie is revolving around a map that BB-8 is carrying that contains Luke's possible whereabouts, and the First Order is after it. BB-8 stumbles across Rey, who stumbles across Finn, who stumbles across Han and Chewie, and that's the whole plot of the movie. Now, what makes this really interesting is that the apprentice that killed all of the other Jedi, forcing Luke to disappear off the face of the galaxy, is in fact Kylo Ren. That's right, Kylo Ren was in fact trained by Luke before turning to the dark side by Supreme Leader Snoke. And to make things even more interesting, Kylo Ren is in fact the son of Han and Leia. So it gives the reason for Luke's disappearance a lot more intriguing, and the reason why we see Han off on this giant freighter and not with Leia. Because Luke felt ashamed that he let down his sister and his best friend, and Han felt ashamed that they couldn't do much to save Kylo Ren or Ben Solo from turning to the dark side. I love how that makes things a little more compelling, and I love that Kylo Ren, for the most part, isn't fully tapped into the dark side. I mean, he's not considered a Sith. And there are points where he wants to go to the dark side so badly, but he is tempted by the light at many points. We'll get back to that a little later. But it's one of the things that makes Kylo Ren a really badass villain, and a more complex villain. I don't agree with everyone who calls him a little bitch by the end of the movie when he takes off his helmet. I think what people call being a bitch, I call being more complex. And in case you're wondering where Luke Skywalker is in this movie, he appears at the very end for about 30 seconds, doesn't say a line, when Rey tracks him down and hands him the Skywalker lightsaber. Basically the lightsaber that Luke dropped in Empire Strikes Back. How that lightsaber has popped up again? It's never explained. Maybe in episode 8 or 9. I love the opening sequence of this film. The attack on the Jakku village. Poe and BB-8 go to try and find someone who apparently is friends with the Skywalker and Solo family, who has that piece of the map. And this character is played by Max von Sydow, really great actor, who I wish was in the movie a little more. With such a great actor like Max von Sydow, it's kind of a shame that he was only a cameo at best. And this is where we get our introduction to Finn, and I can elaborate now why I love it, because he's out in the shit with the other stormtroopers. He sees a stormtrooper get killed, tries to attend to him, and then suddenly he flips out. He freaks out, is scared at what's going on around him. And when Captain Phasma shows up and orders the stormtroopers to execute the villagers, he hesitantly pulls up his blaster. As everyone shoots, he doesn't fire and just puts it down slowly. And you can't see through his helmet, but you can tell that there's this internal struggle going on, like, this is not right. It is a little weird that this is his first assignment and that he would have this sudden change, because Hello Greedo pointed this out, and he does make a very good point. But I think that they were in training simulators the whole time, so Finn was not prepared for what it was actually going to be like on the field. So it's very well done. And when Kylo Ren and Finn look off at each other, Kylo Ren can tell that there is something with the stormtrooper. And I think Finn's change of leaving the First Order is well done. And it leads to a sequence that I really love that really shows how great the chemistry is between all of these actors. It's when he breaks Poe out, they steal a First Order TIE fighter, and like they're working as teams, taking out the turrets, flying around. We really get to see how badass a TIE fighter can be when in the hands of a right pilot. And within that whole sequence, we get to see this friendship grow between Poe Dameron and Finn, and it's really well done. It also demonstrates how fun these aerial dogfight scenes are and can be. The dogfight scenes in the original trilogy were so much fun to watch, and then the prequels, they were decent. Another reason I really wanted to do this spoiler review was to lay out more thoughts on some things I had issues with. Now, I mentioned in my spoiler-free review that I had an issue with Captain Phasma not being well used, like she's barely in it, and because Captain Phasma, this is the first piece of Force Awakens merchandise I got, and it's of Captain Phasma because, as I said, I love the idea of one of the highest-ranking stormtroopers being a woman. Captain Phasma, after the First Order raids the village, she pops up at the very end, once Max von Sydow's character is killed, and as they're bringing Poe Dameron aboard Kylo Ren's shuttle. She just gives the order to kill all the villagers. She has a small moment with Finn where she says, "Turn in your blaster for inspection and report to my division." And then when Finn betrays the First Order, she basically lays down the facts that the Jakku village raid was Finn's first assignment and that he showed no signs of betraying. And then she disappears. She pops up just in the background when the Starkiller base is about to fire against the Republic. I'll get to that detail later. And then she doesn't appear until Han, Finn, and Chewie raid the Starkiller base. They capture her and force her to deactivate the shield. And then Finn says, "What do we do with her?" And Han says, "Is there a garbage chute? Trash compactor?" That's one of the reasons why I said I hope that Captain Phasma returns, because I think that there's a lot to be done with this character outside of sell toys. But apparently Gwendolyn Christie is confirmed to be back in episode 8 and 9. And also I noticed that there's some tension between Phasma and Finn. Once they raid the Starkiller base and Finn is just talking into her face, I feel like in the future they could really explore that, in the sense that Captain Phasma now hates Finn for A, betraying the First Order, B, taunting her, and C, forcing her to shut down the shields on the Starkiller base. Another kind of issue I had was with General Hux. I mean, Domhnall Gleeson I think is a good actor, but General Hux here is pretty much Governor Tarkin from A New Hope. One of the instances where Force Awakens borrows from A New Hope in many different aspects. And while Domhnall Gleeson is intense through a lot of this movie, and definitely is more of a ruthless villain than Kylo Ren is, he is, when you get right down to it, Governor Tarkin. Not much to elaborate on that, but I'm glad that unlike Tarkin, they didn't kill off General Hux, so we could see more of him being ruthless and probably get to really see how evil this guy is, so that's a good thing. Now the Starkiller base. When you get right down to it, it's another Death Star. It's the third Death Star in this whole series. I defended the Death Star 2 in Return of the Jedi because I was like, well, given the fact that it looks like this in the span of 4 years, they must have started building that second Death Star sometime before the first one got destroyed, not to mention the fact that the second Death Star is actually much bigger than the first. So I could let that slide. But this is just... I mean, I guess they had to come up with something to have the big climax of the movie, so we could have the big awesome dogfight between the X-Wings and TIE Fighters, but this was just lazy, honestly. And for everyone who thinks that, oh, I'm a fanboy, you think this movie's flawless despite flaws, I am pointing out flaws. And the Starkiller base, while I do like the concept of a planet being turned into a base that can destroy planets, I think that's really creative and scary at points, but they don't do much with it. They don't elaborate on that, and really, when you get down to it, it is another Death Star. In fact, one of the people at the Resistance base says it's basically another Death Star, and Han says, so what, it's bigger. So they do acknowledge it, but even so, that does not make it 100% okay. And when I mentioned there was a fuck you moment in my spoiler-free review, when the Starkiller base fires, it destroys a planet that looks just like Coruscant. So I thought, oh, they destroyed Coruscant. That's a major fuck you to the prequels. Turns out that's not Coruscant. It's just another city planet that looks like Coruscant. I mean, the buildings do look like Coruscant architecture, but Coruscant's in another system. And apparently what the First Order just destroyed was the new base of the New Republic. So, I don't know. I think visually it was meant to be a fuck you to the prequels, but that's just me. Now let's get back into Rey, because I still have more things to say about her in her defense, and why I think she's awesome. So rather than just calling out random people, or a vast group of people, or minor group of people, whatever, calling out people that say that she's a Mary Sue, and that she's not a good character because she's too good, I'm not going to go call you out. Rather, I'm going to defend this character that I love. After watching the movie a third time, I will admit that Rey is very good at a lot of stuff, and she learns the Force really quickly, but you know what, that's what I love about her. That's one of the things that makes her slightly different than Luke Skywalker. Luke did progress throughout 3 movies, to be fair, and he ended up being one of the greatest Jedi ever. But here, Rey in this movie is pretty much what Anakin Skywalker should have been in The Phantom Menace. And you really admire how powerful she is. Because with Anakin, the whole movie just had to tell us that he was the chosen one. We never actually got to see any of Anakin's skills. We were just told through that and through bullshit midi-chlorians that he was the chosen one. Believe us. And it's like, no, because you didn't show anything that proves that he is the all-great prodigy. Rey is believable because she starts out as a scavenger, scavenging through Star Destroyers, possibly old X-Wings and TIE Fighters, and living inside of a downed AT-AT. We get a sense of how great of a mechanic she is and how dependent she is on her own, since she's been living on Jakku on her own since she was a child. No Uncle Owen or Aunt Beru to help her out. No Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I feel like doing that, not having a loving family throughout your childhood, has made her tougher. And onto the subject of her being able to pilot the Millennium Falcon with ease, even though she does have a difficult time piloting it at first, that's believable because when she is taken in as a child, during the flashbacks, we obviously see that she's taken in by the fat guy, and we clearly know that the Millennium Falcon was in his hands by the time we first see the Falcon. So even though the ship hasn't been flown in years or decades, we can get an idea that Rey must have explored the Falcon a lot. She must have studied it. She hasn't flown it, but she knows exactly where the cannons are. She knows where all the little pieces of the Falcon is. She knows how to repair it. So she must have been studying this thing for years. And I think the idea of her scavenging around Star Destroyers and other fighters that were on the Jakku wastelands really shows that she does know her stuff. Even in different ships, she can tell what's what powers this, how do you do this. So again, this is a theory, but it's one of the reasons why I think her being really good at a lot of stuff is fine. Why it's a good thing. And with Rey being able to use the Force really quickly, it's very simple things that she manages to learn with the Force. And plus, we know that she apparently has the Force within her the whole time. We could tell that she was Force sensitive. It's just the Force hasn't awakened yet, which results in why the film is called The Force Awakens, because Rey basically throughout this journey discovers that she has the Force within her. She hears about the Force and the Jedi through legends, but she manages to discover on her own what the Force is, what it does, and how she's strong with it. So again, I think her being too good at all of these things is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It again separates her from Luke Skywalker's journey, and I don't agree at all that she was handed all of these things. It's just, as I mentioned, she had the Force within inside her. It's just, it's never called out to her until a critical moment. And this is a different type of hero's journey for her. Much different from Luke's. So, again, I still think Rey is a phenomenal character. If you have a problem with her being overpowered or something, then that's fine. That's your opinion. If you can elaborate on that, I can respect it. And when Rey's fighting Kylo Ren, Kylo Ren clearly has the upper hand. Even when she calls on the Force, she does have somewhat of a difficult time. It's not like she calls upon the Force. 3 seconds, boom, Kylo Ren is defeated. There is still some struggle, and the reason why I don't mind that is because Kylo Ren, as we see, is not fully trained. He's not completely in tune with the dark side. I mean, he did do something that really finalized his turn. But even Snoke says that his training is not yet complete. So pretty much Kylo Ren and Rey are equally matched. And I gotta say, I love how the fight between Rey and Kylo Ren starts. Rey is knocked unconscious by Kylo Ren through the Force. He uses the Force push on her. She hits a tree and is knocked unconscious for a bit. Then Finn starts to fight Kylo Ren with the Skywalker lightsaber and manages to hold his ground, but Kylo Ren manages to beat him and really damage him. The lightsaber is flung off to the distance. Kylo Ren tries to use the Force to grab it, and at first it seems like he succeeds because the lightsaber comes towards him, but then it goes right by his face and into Rey's hands. And the timing, the way that's filmed, and the way the theme of the Force swells up is perfect. Everyone cheered when they saw that. And when I saw it at the Chinese for the first time, I think I cheered the loudest at that part, because it was such a big oh shit moment. And you know at that point, it's gonna get really good. So I absolutely love that lightsaber battle. It is up there with one of the best lightsaber battles in the series, along with the ones for Empire and Jedi. Now there's the big question of who are Rey's parents. A lot of people have said that it's probably Luke Skywalker, that Luke Skywalker is probably Rey's father, and that's what I'm expecting to happen. I mean, if it does happen, then I won't be shocked, but I mean, I won't have a problem with it either, because the saga films are supposed to chronicle the Skywalker legacy. The prequels were about Anakin, the original trilogy was about Luke, and then this new series will be about this whatever happens. It definitely will involve the Skywalker legacy. But I would actually love it better if Rey was not Skywalker's daughter. If she was in fact the daughter of one of his pupils. Like they sent her off to Jakku where she could be safe, and they were killed off by Kylo Ren. I think that would be a lot more interesting. Regardless of what the outcome is, we know that her parents, at least one of her parents, have to be trained in the Force. Now let's get into the biggest thing of this movie. The biggest thing that everyone talks about, outside of what I just talked about, Han Solo's death. As I mentioned, Kylo Ren once went by the name of Ben Solo and was the son of Han Solo and Leia Organa. When Han, Chewie, and Finn arrived to the Starkiller base to A, save Rey, and B, create an opening for the X-Wings to destroy, Han sees Kylo Ren crossing a bridge. He manages to go there and shout out, "Ben!" And then there's an echo. It's like, "Ben! Ben! 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 Ben!" It's an echo. Kylo Ren stops dead in his tracks, turns around. Rey and Finn pop up from balcony. Chewie looks overhead. A couple of stormtroopers look at what's happening. And it's a beautifully well done scene. There's no music at the beginning. There's the stream of light that crashes down upon Kylo Ren and Han Solo. It's very intense. It's well done. Kylo Ren removes his helmet for Han to basically see his son's face, because he wants to try to bring Ren back to the light side. And we see that Kylo Ren is struggling. We see that he's having trouble choosing between the light and the dark. He's torn apart. He wants a way out. And Han says, "I can help you with that." So Kylo Ren gives Han the lightsaber, and you think it's going to work out. Then Rey and Finn see the sun get blocked out by the clouds. They look back down, wait a few seconds, and then Kylo Ren stabs Han Solo with his lightsaber. And Chewie screams in agony. Rey is crying. Both Finn and her are in shock. And Kylo Ren says, "Thank you." So it's at that point Kylo Ren has fully embraced the dark side, killed his father, and Chewie goes on a rampage. And I think the Chewbacca scream really does it for me, because he sees his best friend get killed by someone who he might have helped take care of as a child. And if there was any idea that Chewie had that Kylo Ren could possibly turn to the light side again, it's gone. It's gone once Han Solo dies and falls to his death. Chewie grabs his bowcaster, shoots Kylo Ren to the sides, shoots all the stormtroopers, detonates the area as he, Finn, and Rey get out safely. It's a very powerful scene. It gets me every time. And to really show you how impactful that scene is, especially amongst longtime Star Wars fans, one of my friends was hurting. He asked for a hug after seeing the movie because he said that Han Solo was a key part of his childhood. He was one of the best characters out there, and he is. All the characters in the original Star Wars trilogy are icons, and everyone loves them. And the decision to kill Han Solo off is one that I actually really admire. I didn't see coming, and when I first saw it, I was in shock, and I was admittedly crying because of how iconic Han Solo is. But I also applaud J.J. Abrams for doing that, because in a lot of mainstream Hollywood films, mainly the Marvel movies, as much as I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, death practically means nothing. Coulson dies, he comes back to life. Loki dies, he comes back to life. Nick Fury dies, comes back to life. Death literally means nothing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in Star Wars, death means something. When you die, you don't get to come back. I mean, if you're a Jedi, you do get to come back as a Force ghost, but you're still dead in the long run. You're a goddamn ghost. So to see a big movie where death actually means something really is the thing that makes Han Solo's death really fantastic. And that's the key word of this whole movie, fantastic. Regardless of the complaints I had, and even some of the things that people have opened my eyes to, I still love this movie. I think it's better than Return of the Jedi. Not quite as good as Empire, but it's tied for my second favorite Star Wars movie, along with A New Hope. I absolutely love it. It's a great reintroduction to what Star Wars is, and a way to get new fans into the franchise. And I think it's absolutely no coincidence that the first line of dialogue is, "This will make things right." And things have been made right with The Force Awakens. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. And my rating still stands. Get off your ass and go see it right now. And that's my spoiler review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, next week, I might be taking a break from reviews, but I want to try to get in a review for The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's new movie. I don't know when that will be, because I'm not going to have the time to see it right away, but I do want to get a separate review out for that. And then, like with every year, whether it's the end of December or the beginning of January, I will have a video that recaps all the movies that came out this year that I've seen but haven't got a chance to review, as well as my worst of and best of lists. So look out for those, and until then, leave a comment and tell me what you think of everything about Star Wars The Force Awakens. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website, therealmrrobinson.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Periscope. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one.